Or have you read the Ole thread about Champions Queue and how he feels like LCS players are lazy and they don't really grind?
His tweets, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he also said some stuff on that made it on Reddit on his stream. He was like making a notepad about how like not a lot of people are grinding Champions Queue and like he's like confused because he doesn't really know what the LCS players are doing after scrims. You know, at least playing like 3 games a day is enough, but like some people are just not playing at all. He basically just went in on it, and he's like saying like it's weird because in Korea, playing after scrims a lot is like expected, and then people are complaining about solo queue quality in NA. And finally, you know, this thing comes out that's like way better than solo queue. Obviously, it's got a downside of like longer queue times, but there's a good trade-off, I guess. And you know, it comes out and like still a lot of people just like don't play. They just like don't want to practice in it. And he was like just upset about it because it's taking him a really long time to play to get games because there's just not enough people playing it. Anyways, I was wondering what you thought about it because obviously I've never like I didn't really know you that well when we were both playing against each other, but the one thing I did know about you is that after scrims every day, you would just turn on your stream and play League for like 7 hours.
It's more like 4 usually.
Well, I mean, whatever. Back then, the scrim schedule was also way different, and we were actually playing like way more scrims than people are now. But the point is that you definitely were known as like a huge grinder because you like to stream, and like pretty much the main thing that you streamed was solo queue. So like I would say like me and you, and among like some other players, obviously are like, you know, we were like LCS players, like American players who played a shit ton. Do you think that people are like more lazy now?
Yeah, it's hard to say because some of the people are playing on like secret accounts. So, you know, most of them are tracked, right? Like you have their like actual account ID. So then whenever they change their name, you can still follow them. And like you don't have infinite accounts as a pro. Like you're given the accounts from Riot. And once you're found out, you're tracked forever. I don't know how many are actually like people playing on secret accounts versus people that just don't play. I just assume that most people that weren't like obviously playing like on a main account, that I'm just like, damn, I never see this guy in the solo queue anymore. I just assume they're like on a secret account that I just never really pay attention to their name with. But I mean, if people are actually not playing, I think it's just a given. Like I think when you are a pro, I think about 4 hours of solo queue is enough a day. Like I think that's the most you should play, and that's also like the minimum. I think it's like a perfect number because that personally for me, they gave me 2 hours where I could do whatever after scrims, and then also like, you know, you do 4 hours of playing solo queue. I think I had, depending on how much sleep I would get, I would, you know, have like an hour and a half after the 4 hours is solo queue. So
Yeah.
you know, about 3 hours of like my own time a day.
I sent you something that you can, it's like a video that you can like scroll around to see all the different teams and their team averages and like how much each player played of Champions Queue. So I think what you can all assume is that no one's really playing solo queue anymore. If you're playing League after scrims, 90% of that time is in Champions Queue. I don't really understand why you would ever really want to play solo queue as a pro player anymore. And I've not really seen any pro players playing solo queue except at like 1 a.m. when they can't get a game and the Champions Queue is about to end. Sometimes like I'll see like Afro queue up a solo queue game. So I'm looking at this, you know, TL 20 games average per week. That sounds okay. You know, I'm okay with that. Golden Guardians 24 games average per week. That's okay. Then I see like FlyQuest at 15, and like it's pretty hard carried by Jose. You know, 12 games, 9 games, 10 games a week. You know, that's 1.5 games per day. Like, how is that okay? Like, I'd say 20 would be like the bare minimum. 20 games a week is like 2 to 3 games of Champions Queue a day. That's gonna take you 2 hours after scrims. I would say, you know, 2 hours. Okay, fine. Like, I'm gonna give you a pass on that one. Immortals, like Wild Turtle playing 4 games. Evil Geniuses, like Danny and Inspired just didn't play this last week. Their average was 13. Like, it's like not my favorite fucking thing to see. And then you go to Dignitas at the very last and they have an average of 4. Straight up. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Everyone has their different reasons and stuff, but
Oh my god.
it does feel like like Ole's in my chat. What are they doing? Guys, like I've been a pro player for 10 years. I know what people can do after scrims to improve. You can watch replays. You can do 1v1s or 2v2s. in custom games. You can play solo queue. That's it. Other things is like team bonding, going out for a team dinner that's going to take you an hour or 2 hours every few days. What are they doing after scrims? I don't. The answer is they're probably just relaxing. You know, they're probably having a life, hanging out with friends. They don't really want to play League after a long day of scrims. But
yeah, the thing I will say, I think the current scrim schedule is different, where they switched to the 5-game schedule, right? I think that's been a thing. I'm not updated currently on it, but if they ever do like a quote unquote third block, before it was like you would do 2 blocks and then you do the third block. Like on those days of third blocks, like I think solo queue was legit impossible. Like I think trying to play solo queue after third blocks was just griefing yourself. So I don't know how many teams are doing that. Like if those are the numbers with no third blocks and they're not playing solo queue, like yeah, those players are fucking trolling. Like
yeah,
you cannot be like in LCS trying to be competitive playing 4 games in a week. Like that's just grief.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, maybe there's some third blocks going on, but from what I understand, like, if we like got an interview right with Danny or Inspired or Blue, who didn't play any, Neo Biofrost, who played 4 games last week, and like I could ask Fudge, he played 0 games. Turtle played 4 games. If I like got these people in an interview, right, and I asked them like, so why are you playing so little? I feel like every single person would have a different reason why. Like, oh, I've been really stressed. I've been really busy. I'm doing other stuff. I'm doing alternative forms of practice. But like, I think what was interesting about like Ole's post is that like in Eastern countries, there's no excuses. You just play. Like you just fucking play. Like it's a no-brainer. Like it doesn't matter if you're feeling like shit. Like Ole said in my chat, like Faker hates Korean solo queue, but he plays 10 games of it a day. Like you just have to. It's pretty fucking weird to see that. I'm having so much fun playing it, and like it's a shame to me that some players just like kind of refuse to play it.
Was there a player in specific you were talking about?
I mean,
like
you
a
can
pro
just,
who's not playing at all.
You could just look at it. I linked it in this chat. Like you can scroll, and like some people, I can tell that they're working hard, and there's a correlation. Like the people who play a lot are usually guys who are fucking good. Core's played 29 games, Santorin 24 games, Ole played 31 games. He's playing really well. Jose played 26 games. Like, you know, the people who practice a lot are usually good. Luger's the best player on CLG, and he plays the most Champions queue. There's a correlation with practicing and getting better. So yeah, I feel like I don't feel too much sympathy for these people, because I feel like I mean, you weren't here for the first
Ontrax
conversation.
hasn't been playing very much.
Yeah, it's like back when we were playing, right? What was expected of us is after scrims we queue up solo queue for a few hours, and I feel like for some reason that is no longer the case. It is not a requirement for you to practice outside of scrims anymore. It's like considered extra credit, but like I remember.
What do people do if they're not playing League?
I think know.
If anything, like it would just be like the bottom feeder teams that like wouldn't necessarily care if you're not playing after, because it's not like you have any hopes anyway. But like that's just such like a depressing environment.
How are you gonna pick yourself up being a bottom team? Like you have to practice harder than your competitors. Like if you're already less talented than Core JJ and you're practicing less than him, you're never gonna be better. It's like just so obvious. But you know, obviously everyone has their own personal reasons. Maybe they're having a rough week or something. But like this thing that Travis posted, he posted every single week. I've been keeping track. You know, I've been paying attention to like how much people are playing it, and so for me, an average of 21 games per week is everyone playing 3 games per day. If you don't have time to play 3 Champions Queue games per day, you don't deserve to be a pro player.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how you wouldn't have the time unless.
That's 2 hours. Average.
Yeah.
Like you could just knock out 4 hours one day and then take the next day off.
How do you?
So what do you think of a player if they're not playing champion queue but they're playing solo queue? Do you think that is just way worse practice, or do you think that is an acceptable alternative as well?
I think
it's okay.
Like if they for some reason really dislike Champions Queue, like whatever their reason is, like I think it's fine. Like as long as they're actually playing solo queue.
Because I'm wondering if like that, if the players who aren't playing champion queue are just playing a lot of solo queue.
Yeah, that's
I was
what
reading through the Twitter comments and someone said like Danny, for instance, just doesn't really like Champions Queue. It feels too try hard, which I can kind of understand. Like, I definitely think there are times when I want to just queue up, like not really communicate with my teammates, just like try some new shit, like focus on some specific part of play. And I feel like that's better in solo queue than champions queue, where it seems like, you know, just another scrim.
No, that's totally fair. Actually, I forgot to mention, and this is like, this is a huge thing that I should mention, is like Spica told me that on TSM they have solo queue requirement by upper management. You can guess who that is. They have a solo queue requirement by upper management, and they don't count champions queue games. So they need to play.
What?
I think.
Oh, really?
I think they need to play 5 solo queue games per day, so 35 games
right,
of
that's-
solo queue per week. And
That's a troll.
and even though the players want to play champions queue instead of solo queue, the like upper management doesn't really understand it.
I think
That's really
that's-
grief.
I know.
That's the sort
like
of thing that
an
is
updated rule.
Yeah. So,
that is
I'm gonna
so
give
out
them a
of touch
pass.
and awful for your team if they're making rules like that. That's just straight up sabotaging your own team. You
Yeah,
could
yeah.
do
So
literally
Shenyi-
nothing and be more effective than that.
Shenyi has like fucking a shit ton of champions queue games, and I think it's because he doesn't give a fuck if like the management's mad at him, because like the management is like pretty shit, and I don't think he really cares about his relationship with them anymore. So I don't think Shenyi plays any solo queue, and he just plays champions queue and says, "Fuck it, guys, I'm literally grinding all day, streaming all day. You can fucking find me if you want." But yeah, I think for the rest of them, they are definitely, their hands are tied.
Yep,
Well, hopefully
that's
they change that.
Yeah, I think
why
I
is
think
Tactical eating a
Spica-
hand warmer.
I think Spica actually really wants to play it, but he can't, or he gets in trouble.
There, I don't see how that could possibly be a thing.
No, I don't understand it either. It's like, dude, you'd rather play me like 5 games of something that is worst practice, or 4 games of great practice? Like, why what is going on here? They're dumb as hell. Yeah, I mean, every time you hear a story about TSM management, you just think like, damn, they can't be that stupid, right? Like, there's no way that would actually roll. Like, it's 2022, esports has been around for a long time. Like, this is just common sense stuff. But like, no, I'm serious. Like, you could ask Spica as well, and he'll tell you the truth.
I was gonna say, you know what probably is like, no one's really been around long enough on TSM to like counter something so stupid.
Yeah, like when
Spica's kind of in there for a bit, so maybe not.
No, I think that the management treats Spica as like a whiny little kid and not really taking
Yeah.
him seriously. But like when they had like people, I guess like Bjergsen or me or Parth or Lena, then there was somebody to like kind of like stand up for the players. But
Yeah, exactly.
now they've essentially removed everyone who would stand up to something like that, and so there's 3 people who played basically 0 games. So crazy, man. Yeah, we actually did have a farewell dinner for Parth because he moved, and then Alina just ran my chat. Like, Spica came late because he had to finish up his required solo queue game, and then we interrogated him. Me and Soren were there. We're interrogating him like, how the fuck you still have to play solo queue? Like, you're not just playing champions queue all day? Crazy, man, crazy.
Pretty good.